Hey y'all, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Bodice Siblings,
the podcast where we read all the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
And then we drink about it. On this episode, we read Marian Engel's Bear. Trigger warnings, really just one big one. A woman has a sexual relationship with a bear. So if you're looking at an animal cruelty situation and also issues of consent with a bear.
Well, it's also a sad bear, so you should know that. It's not like a happy bear.
Well,
I found that very distressing. Actually.
It was. Hence the animal cruelty. But yeah, strap in. We're barely... I can't stop making these bear puns.
I know. You should put a pause on your bear puns. And we've done this intro like 10 times, and we cannot just handle it. So we're just going to go forward. Okay?
We're going forward.
We are moving onward, and we're just going to tackle this fucking thing.
Hey, Paul.
All right. I can't make that noise on the radio.
The radio, Jesus.
The radio.
As you can tell, we're handling this in a very adult way. And here's a quick caveat. This book is a serious piece of literature, but you've got two boneheads addressing it now. If you're wanting to listen to us take a deeper dive into a literary analysis, join our Patreon, become a Patreon. We're going to have one of our residents, English professor folks come on and help us.
Oh, yeah. John's not going to look at this and make a bunch of bear puns. No, of course not.
No, but again, we are getting this book is a award-winning book. We're all over the place with it.
It is a genuine literary book.
But right now, we're just being too sophomore.
I'm sorry. It's a book where somebody fucks a bear. It caused a certain amount of stir in my interlibrary loan department, okay? When
I get
interlibrary
you.
loan,
the Man versus Bear. So, hey, y'all. That's the real one.
Hey, y'all.
So we're back in action. We are hanging out at Sarah's place. It's kind of nice. My place is under the weather because the weather is so hot.
Honestly, it's hot in my dining room anyway, so,
But yeah, we decided to jump in on this discourse of man versus bear.
Of course, we're too late, like we always are.
Always, but that's fine. That's how we are. That's our whole thing is a day late, a dollar short. That's why y'all love us. So yeah, Sarah found this one. I had no inkling of it because why would I? I'm neither Canadian nor... If you've listened to the podcast ever, I usually find a way to talk about my number one feared animal being bears. I really do. I don't... bears, I appreciate them. They're beautiful, blah, 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 blah. But, I don't fuck with bears.
Well, my number one most feared animal is men. I appreciate them. I find them beautiful, but
I see, for me, the bear versus discourse, and if you've been under a rock, it's really, would you rather be in the woods with a man?
A strange man or a strange bear?
And for me...
You get to pick the dude, okay?
I pick bear because... no, I pick man.
You would not pick man.
I would because, one, I've watched the game. I watched the game recently, and I would much rather kill a man than a bear.
Well, you don't have to kill a bear, though. A bear just does bear shit. If you don't bother the bear,
no, I've seen that. They kill people horribly.
I go hiking a lot more than you do.
I know. Hence, because I really do have a bear thing. It's not like... They terrify me.
I've been hiking tons in the upstate of South Carolina, and I have seen bear footprints. I've seen obvious evidence of bears.
Speaking of, there's a bear in my dad's very suburban neighborhood of TK right now. TK, South Carolina.
Oh my God.
But for me, they stand like men and they run like horses, and then they can climb. So
men do all those three things, Courtney.
But for me, I would enjoy the challenge of killing a man.
Unlike in this book, the bear will not rape you first.
Fair enough.
And you don't ever have to go to like somebody said, your high school reunion and see the bear there.
Fair enough. But what again, we're already just all over the place with it. But
we have to talk about the discourse. The best thing I read about this, and I will link this article in the show notes, is that there's a great article by this lady who does a lot of extreme wilderness bike packing, in Alaska and shit. And she's like, yeah, my life is choosing bear. That's literally it.
I mean, I guess if I was on a forest, nature situation and
you would never be in a nature situation in your life.
Really, I would not. 300 yards in the distance, I saw a bear. I might be like, oh, that's nice. Versus if I saw a man, I'd be like, yeah. So I guess I would choose.
Well, with a man, okay, when you're hiking with a man, you're by yourself and he's by himself. And every time you see a dude coming, you kind of have this thing Okay, so I make eye contact, so I prove that I'm like a person, but and like not a thing for him to like murder in little pieces. But then if I make eye contact, is he gonna take that as some kind of like invitation or some whatever? So I think I should look at him to make myself a human. But then what if I make myself too much of a human? And like, obviously most men are not going to murder you in the woods. Obviously, I'm married to a man. I have a son. I'm not.
I will say I did watch the movie that came out in like the mid 80s where the woman who is now married to Michael J. Fox, she's like running and she gets kidnapped by two mountain men and kept, for reasons. So I guess, yeah. All evidence points to bear. And so far, bears only kill dumb women who go along with their boyfriends to live among them.
Yeah, so, I mean, they'll kill the fuck out of you for that. And the thing is that so many men responded to this thing by making themselves like a 2-bear or a 3-bear man. Like, I saw one that was all like, why on earth would a woman ever choose a bear? Men only want to admire them and impregnate them. I was like, oh, whoa, they can be polar bears now.
It's like you've just proven the point.
Yeah, they could be 5 polar bears rather than this guy. Except I could probably take that guy in a fight. Let's be honest.
Polar bears are...
No, I don't fuck with polar bears.
But polar bears are so wild because, like, when you look at them, their bodies are so awkward that you're like, really, if you were going to mash up bears, if you're going to take side by side, just looking at a bear on all fours, right? Or just like bear-ness. Grizzly bears, like Yukon grizzly, Kodiak grizzly bear is obviously the scariest looking bear.
Oh, God, yeah.
But then polar bears are the ones that are like, I'll eat your dog, I'll eat you.
But they look so weird.
Yes, they look like a man in a bear suit because it's all weird. But
if not they swim, then why friends?
Anyway, again, y'all, buckle up. We thought this book is short, but we're going to have this kind of conversation.
Yeah, because the book is also wild. Well, let me tell you about this. So this is the goofy book where a woman fucks a bear, but it is actually a really important literary novel in Canada.
Yes.
I don't know. They say Canada's real.
I don't. America's top hat.
I mean,
I know is that my husband loves Montreal, but that's a story for another.
See, I've never been to Montreal, but Vancouver's very nice. But so this came out in 1976, and it won the Governor General's Literary Award, which is like the really big literature award in Canada. And all the articles that I read that were written at the time were really comparing it a lot to Margaret Atwood's Surfacing. It's clearly part of like 70s feminist literary fiction in Canada, and really important. In that tradition, and at the same time, the Canadian Encyclopedia, which is evidently a real thing, calls the book it's the most controversial novel ever written in Canada, which I can't believe it really could be, right?
Well, probably at the time, for sure.
Has y'all done better than that?
Before the time of like Game of Thrones paved way for like sibling fucking, dragon fucking, whatever. People were not fucking animals.
Oh, they were fucking siblings in Canadian fiction, I'm sure.
Well, I guess but a sibling and a bear is the big.
I am so sorry, our Canadian readers. I assume you're all geese, or possibly bears.
Those are the only 2 animals that we have. A moose. They do have some moose.
They got moose. A moose wants to beat my sister.
Oh, would you rather have to face a bear or a moose?
A bear.
Yeah.
Moose are fucking terrifying.
They are.
They are so big.
When I went to Sweden, I went to this. It was a moose museum.
A museum.
And the first thing that happens is that you find out when you go in that the origins of Volvo really is centered on the moose. And so they have this life-size, essentially, not even a diorama, but like this. You remember if you went to prom and right before prom, they have they'd have a car from a DUI and like...
Oh, yeah.
So they had this, but they had these mannequins and it was like a moose sticking half out of the car and like and this blonde child crying on the side of it. And really like, again, the Volvo and the safety features of Volvos were developed so that the car would obviously be destroyed, but you could live through a moose accident. And then so you go through the museum and then you can go and feed moose. And it's essentially like if you've ever been to one of those zoos where they have the platform to feed giraffes, it's like you're up a story because they're so big and so like...
I don't think most people know how big they are.
Yeah, and so after we do all that, we go inside back to the little museum gift shop. And this man's like, would you like some of this? And I was like, he's like handing out these little like jerky things. And I was like...
Oh, no, you ate the moose.
I was like, is this moose? And he was like, yes. And I was like, no, thank you. The wildest thing I ate there was elk. I was like... that's fine.
I've had elk, I've had reindeer, but I have not had moose.
Yeah.
And when I was in Alaska, we were looking for these fucking moose, and we took a whitewater rafting tour and everything, all these places where you should have seen the moose. And we're into like Denali National Park, and I saw a bear with triplet cubs. A long way away, all right? It was not like a bear or man situation. I saw tons of caribou. I saw mountain goats. I saw sheep, but I never saw this fucking moose. And when you're up there, like in the permafrost, these trees are tiny. And they're like, yeah, they're just hiding. What the fuck? Where the fuck does this thing is 6 feet tall at the shoulder. Where the fuck is this thing hiding?
They're like Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible. They're the Ethan Hunt of animals. Anyway, so back to Marian Engel.
I'm not fucking a moose for sure.
Oh, they kill you.
Oh my God. Anyway.
Yes, back to...
But I would rather fuck a moose than a hippo.
Yeah. Strap in. We're on this wild ride.
Or strap on, whatever you want to do. So Marian Engel, she is obviously a Canadian author. She's born in 1933, which makes her like my dad's age. 2 years younger than my dad. And she she lived the first few years of her life out of foster care. She has like this very like long biography because like a lot of stuff used to happen to her. But she was always sort of a literary person. She was, writing all throughout college. She went to McGill. She married a mystery author, Howard Engel, and radio producer. So that has to be good for your writing career and shit. She taught a little bit. She's totally one of those, MFA people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like a woman never writes the professor who's an alcoholic who might or might not decide to have an affair with a student. They just write a fucking bear novel, I guess, when you're a lady MFA person.
And you know what? She's doing less harm. So.
And she was a major activist for Canadian writers. So she was like a chair of the union, like that sort of thing. She was really concentrating her time and her efforts on pensions for writers and royalties from library loans, which they have in Canada. So
Great.
Yeah, good for them. But this is her most famous novel because it's about a lady who fucks a bear.
Yeah, the first cover.
See, now you can just write Lady Who Fucks a Bear and it's just paranormal romance. But at the time, it was a big deal.
The first cover for this book is glorious. It's fucking glorious.
It's so good. Oh my God.
Like it is a clinch cover with a beautiful blonde woman that is not what that
who might kind of be on fire.
That woman is not what that woman looked like.
No.
But she's like naked and the bear is, it's essentially a romance novel. It's very Flame in the Flower or very like with a little bit of like with a little like dollop of a fantasy feel to it. And the bear got his big old bear paws around her, covering her nips, and she is in full clutch.
And the thing is, so this is not a book that buries the lead, okay? This is not something that's like, you're just going to find out halfway through, like, holy shit, this lady fucks a bear in this book. Like, no. This is the bear fucking book.
It's crazy. So,
and amazingly, and I did not know this until this came in to my interlibrary loan assistant at the library. She's like, Sarah, did you know she's a librarian? Like, oh, shit.
Yeah, she's a librarian archivist. So the book,
oh, wait, you didn't do the back cover copy. I'm sorry. I talked over you.
It's okay. I was looking at...
How do you promo this book? How do you sell this book to the audience?
Okay. Lou, a shy and secretive young librarian, is called to a remote Canadian island to inventory the estate of a recently deceased person named Colonel Carey. In a cabin on the island, she discovers the colonel had a secret as well. A bear chained inside. Fascinated, Lou brings the bear into the house and slowly gains the animal's trust. She sinks her fingers into the bear's fur and soon realizes her darkest desire is for this large, powerful animal to be her lover.
This is not what happens.
But there's more to the story than the price to be paid for forbidden passion. This novel by award-winning author Marian Engel works within the logic of a fever dream as the young woman comes to an even greater understanding of herself.
This wants to have its cake and eat it too, right? This then wants to be like, this is the bear fucking book, but it's also like, I'm so literary.
She's not technically a librarian. And they call her an archivist. She's not an archivist. She works for a manuscript division. It's what she's doing because she's going through this man's personal papers.
Yeah.
So let's just put that out there.
Well, I'm sure she has a library degree.
I'm sure she does, but also I'm just saying we need to start categorizing things as what they are. And, librarians always get the rap for being the horn dogs, and really it's the history people.
Oh, well, aren't you both?
Girl. You don't know what I've been doing.
I just want you all to know, if we haven't said that since Courtney got her second degree, let me punch her up to whatever by saying that Courtney is now a double master's bitch.
That's what they call me.
Yeah, public history and library science. I just had the library.
I'm like double dragon, but I'm double master's bitch.
So
thank you for that.
You're welcome. So how is this? What happens in this fucking book? All right, so it's quite short. And you have, like, you know, your standard woman in that's not even a quarter life, somewhere between quarter life and midlife crisis. Her life is very gray. She's doing like a job that she doesn't love that's better than the other jobs that she hated more. She works for this nameless, faceless kind of historical society entity. I thought it was a university. It doesn't matter. The point is,
it's a historical society, and the way we know her name is Lou, but these things don't matter.
No.
So the historical society has this director who is basically, this house on this remote island has been deeded to the historical society, and they want her to go up there and look through the papers of this Colonel Carey and deem what is worthy of, like, you know, to go through things. And basically she's doing a processing job, but she's doing the processing job there.
And also to see if, like, can we turn the house into something?
Yeah. Can we make it like
can we get a retreat, a conference center? Like, you know, we got this thing. Somebody has to go look at it. And she's excited about this because she's feeling very bleh about, like, what she's doing.
Yeah.
And also because she's really hoping to get like legitimate, honestly good sources about daily life and people's family and that sort of shit in this place in Northern Ontario, because she talks a lot about how and of course this is true, about how nothing survives about the real shit, and the only thing that survives is the boring shit. So she's really kind of hoping, this is going to be the thing. Maybe I'll get professionally excited about
right. And this house is very big and grand, you feel like, and I think they want to kind of turn it into like a Yaddo, but with bears.
Yeah, well, okay, the bear kind of comes as a slight surprise.
Because to get to the island, she has to go via
boat and shit.
Boat, and you know, she's got this guy who lives up there, and it's one of these places where everyone is rough and tumble. And
to me, this is very Stephen King, Maine.
Mm-hmm. So she meets this gentleman, like one of the other main characters is this man named Homer who lives up there, and he takes her up there and kind of helps outfit her.
He's got the store.
He's like, here's some beans, you know, that kind of thing.
Oh, she's eating. So, you know, nobody else would hang out with her but the bear, because she's farting like, she's providing the whole energy source for this.
And so he tells her, as he's like, BT Dubs, by the way,
you are now responsible for a whole ass bear.
There's a bear on the property. He just lives back there, and he's just on he's like one of those sad Russian bears. You know?
It's really upsetting, because I thought this was going to be a wild bear. I mean, when I said let's read the bear fucking book,
yeah,
I thought it was going to be a wild bear. So, like, you're probably thinking, like, what a weird sticking point, Sarah. And I'm like, okay, no. The bear is sad. The bear lives on a chain with a chain around its neck. And who the fuck is... So there's this lady...
And it just eats dog food.
Yeah, it eats dog food. This bear is miserable.
This bear's not getting its nutrients.
And it doesn't even live, like, with somebody to live with it. This lady, Lucy, who is an indigenous, an old lady... who is this book, by the way, it's the kind of book where you're like halfway through, like, is any of this really happening? It's supposed to have like a cabin on this island, but Lou never sees the cabin. It's not that big a fucking island. So Lucy's been feeding the bear, but has somebody really been rowing over there once a day to feed? I don't feel like it has been. So this fucking bear,
I don't know. Anyway, so from the narrative that we get, she starts processing, and she goes and sits and starts like hanging out with the bear. And so Homer is basically like, Homer, the man who owns the store, is like, you know, he tells her about the bear, and she's like, oh, this poor bear. And he's like, well, remember, it's a wild animal. Mm-hmm. Like, that's his sticking point. He's always like, it's a wild animal. He's like, feed it this dog food. It's on a chain and basically lives in this back yard.
Well, the interesting thing is, from a literary perspective, whatever, it lives in the original cabin.
Right.
So the house is this octagonal house, which they make this big point about saying is really unsuited for the place, the weather, and literally everything else about where it is.
Yeah, it feels like an Anne of Green Gables, like one of those where Anne like goes to college, but in the middle of like rough and tumble. Like it feels like a Victorian house, like this beautiful dollhouse, and like
it's an octagon, which is interesting for many reasons, and I guess we'll get into that one when we have our literature professor come to talk about it. Because like, oh, I don't know, there's a lot of things to say, but so this beautiful white octagonal house, which is described in such a way that you can see it it feels
like a gazebo on steroids that is in the middle of like the Yukon, not the Yukon, obviously, but that's the impression like that you're trying to get.
You're so far away from everything, but the original cabin is like a tiny little cabin, like the thing that you would build if you landed on this fucking island.
How people did. Yeah, they'd build a lean-to or a cabin. And
right. So the bear lives in the primitive dwelling, but she lives in this place. And let me just describe the place, even though you don't see the whole thing. There's a basement full of trunks and shit. There's the main floor has like the bedrooms and the kitchens and everything, but the upstairs is this beautiful library, like this, and like it's the whole floor, and it's telescopes and books and shit. And the way that they describe it, it is like the best fucking place. Like it is just like fan fucking tastic, and you can see like the natural light and everything in there. And I mean, essentially, I think that they're like, this is the human mind. This is the human mind, and that it has like, you know, your subconscious. It has like the shit that you do in your daily life, and then it has the life of the mind. But out back in the old cabin, it has a bear who lives in a chain.
Right.
And the bear who lives in a chain is how you fuck.
Well, and I think too, you've got, again, you know, her really, she hears from Homer about the bear, and like the first few days, first week or so, it's her throwing food in there and like hearing this lumbering sound and looking at him and like not really getting a scale of it, and seeing this sad bear that's like,
it's a black bear. We should say that. That is important, I feel, to know if you're concerned about this lady having sex with this bear.
But like,
it's not a brown bear.
No,
no, I mean in size.
Girl, you can take that. That's me just being. But like, so the first few times is seeing this bear, and the bear in this domesticated kind of sad world that it doesn't belong in. Now, the thing is, the stipulation with that house is that there has always been a bear.
Yeah, he always kept a bear. Colonel Carey always kept a bear.
Always been a bear.
But they never explain why.
No.
Or where the bear came from, or how, like, there's been several bears. This is not the original bear.
And so she's there for the summer, and originally it was, like, supposed to be a week or so. And, like, as she starts carrying through and going through the papers, and she starts going out and spending time with the bear. And eventually she takes the bear out of the cabin and will take it down to the lake, or try to take it on walks, essentially. And, again, this is a sad, beleaguered bear that is much abused.
And we should
not
say,
abused, but just
the bear is this book is always extremely careful to make sure that you understand that this is a bear. This is not something that has a human intelligence, or that she starts to think is a person, or like whatever. It is a bear, like a bear in the woods. It is an animal. She never names it.
No. It's always the bear.
She thinks about naming it, but she doesn't. So, I mean, like, and every way that she describes it is a way that you describe an animal. Like, it smells a bit better by the end because she takes it down to the river and all. And somebody tells her, like, you said it was Lucy. Like, well, you got to shit by the bear to be friends with the bear.
Yeah, because at first she's like, well, how do I, this woman, you know, she meets this woman, Lucy, who lives on the island too, but we never see where she lives. This older indigenous woman who...
Well, her real house is somewhere else, but she also has a cabin on the island?
Yeah, but comes and she's talking to her about the bear, and she's like, this part's a little bit, you know, she's like, shit with the bear, shit, you know, like it kind of says it in like a broken English sort of way. And so like she goes and takes a morning shit with the bear, and the bear and her become friends.
And you should do that with everybody you want to be friends with. I know it's like hard in your 30s and 40s to be friends with people. You know what you should do? So, that's how we got to be friends.
As it progresses, like her and that bear, they're swimming together, they're doing this, and you know, meanwhile Homer comes and visits her, and they drink together. And occasionally during big holiday weekends, she'll see people out on boats, and she gets very like, I don't want you here, you know.
This is also, but she's very much a summer person. So this starts in the spring, goes to the summer and the fall.
Yeah.
She does not spend a winter on this place.
Well, no, and then what she eventually starts doing is she starts leaving the door open to her house.
Well, she starts leaving the chain off the bear.
Yeah. And that bear just starts coming in, and it will come up the stairs, and she'll lay beside the bear at night and like rub her feet on the bear.
And the bear is obviously like, okay, well, you find out about the Careys. And I'm sure that this is also very literarily important, is that Colonel Carey is the guy who built this house. His wife never came up out of Toronto. She was like, yeah, you go have fucking fun with that. But, he had a family and all this. And the most recent Carey was named Colonel because it was a girl. You had to be a Colonel Carey to inherit. And so it was a girl. So they just named the girl Colonel. And she was this like unique, a very Canadian wilderness woman who wore pants and trapped lynxes illegally, and of course kept a bear. And I mean, she seems like far more interesting a person than the original Colonel Carey, right?
Right.
But like she was the one who got this particular bear. So the whole time that Lou is doing all this, like, all this librarian work, really, she's typing out little cards like for everything, and these little slits of paper keep falling out of these books that are about
manuscript processing.
She's doing manuscript processing. Well, you don't do it on cards anymore.
No, I know, but she is sticking with her work, but she really becomes consumed by the bear. She becomes consumed by the bear, the wildness of the bear, the sensuality of the bear holding this power. And, they go and swim, and the bear will like swim with her, and they'll play with a ball, and just all like they really develop. But then the bear... She gets a little too drunk one night. She has a little bit too much.
Oh, who among us?
A little too much whiskey, and her and the bear are laying by a fire, and the bear proceeds to perform oral sex on her, which leads to this bear has done this before.
I think it seems like it, right? And also, I mean, like that's why I talked about Colonel Carey, because the bear was accustomed to coming in the house. And also, you could say that if this book is about kind of the synthesis or an attempted synthesis or a blurring of boundaries between man and nature or whatever, that Colonel Carey, the woman, kind of strode that boundary, because this is somebody who could be extremely proper and serve you tea, but also trap an illegal lynx and wore pants and those.
Right.
So, anyway, so it's I don't know what to make of that, but.
And so, yeah, she becomes more and more consumed with the bear. She becomes
not even the bear's first woman to eat out.
She keeps, the director of the Historical Society, Preservation Society is like, hey, when you coming back? And she's like, never. She's like, oh, there's
very
so much
interesting.
more.
Yeah,
there's so much more. And so she, in an attempt to find more things, she has one night, her and Homer, who have kind of got this camaraderie going on. Mm. She plies him with whiskey and makes him bring up these.
She overtrusts him.
Yeah, she does. She has him help her bring up these trunks, and he is essentially like, hey, we gonna do this thing, and she's like, I'm fucking a bear.
Well, I mean, it is a bit threatening. It's not super threatening. He doesn't do anything.
He's like a college guy basically being like,
they were kind of goofing around, and she was putting on like these dresses and stuff,
yeah,
and then she realized like, oh fuck, I thought we were having fun. Fuck.
And she, he's like,
who of us had never been there?
And he's calling her basically a tease, and she's like, well, you got a wife, and he's like, we got an understanding. And that part is like semi upsetting, but
it's very realistic in the sense that like,
and they eventually get cool with each other again after she spurns him. And then, that night she tries to fuck the bear, and it doesn't work because bear logistics. Mm-hmm. The bear also like ends up scratching her back.
That's not okay. That doesn't happen yet. That's the last thing that happens, which is fascinating. It's kind of like a birth.
Yeah.
We'll get there. The summer is coming to a close finally. And I guess her season with the bear is coming to a close.
And during all this, you find out that she had been having an affair with the director, and it wasn't anything spectacular.
It was the shittiest affair. She just gets fucked on her if you fuck me on my desk at work, my desk at work is full of the most boring shit.
Here's the thing. Here's a tip for all you. Anyone, whatever kind of power play, don't fuck on your desk. Fuck on their desk.
That's right. That's a good point.
Don't fuck. No. That's the extra demeaningness of it. It's like she's not even worth going and fucking on the director's desk, who probably
doesn't have an office. I mean,
I don't know. She's like in the basement. It's like so. But yeah, and you find out that she had an abortion.
Oh, that she'd been forced to have an abortion
Yeah,
by a
by the
previous
director.
lover.
Yeah.
No. That was a previous
Oh,
guy.
that was, yeah. So
who wouldn't marry her.
Yeah, like 2 or 3, like, just, relationships where the man is obviously, like, calling all the shots. And
or she's the other woman. Or, I mean, it talks about,
Yeah.
like, she tried... there's this bit, and it's funny because they have not used her name in ages in this book. I forgot her name until it said her name about, like, the guy who forced her to have an abortion. Or then, like, she tried all the things you're supposed to try if you can't get it to work with
Yeah.
men. It said, like, cucumbers are terrible. Women left her hungry for men.
Yes.
So she's been to the produce department. She's been to the bars. What the fuck is she? I get it, girl. But you don't go to the dancing bear who's...
You don't get the sad bear. Like, and so...
Go get a happy bear.
Oh, God. So, her and the bears, essentially it's just the bear eating her out every night. And then, like, they finally work out the logistics to penetrative sex.
Yeah, but, like, and she's like, it's happening. And the bear cuts her open. Like not, I mean, she's fine.
Yeah.
But, like, really slices her up on her back. And it's sort of...
That's the first they attempt it. And then they finally get to, like, do it.
Yeah, but they don't really because, like, and she
It's a
takes
bear.
that... Because it's bear. She actually takes that as a... I don't know if she takes it as an establishment of the boundaries between human and nature, or if it's like sort of a birth thing, or if it's just like okay, all right. But she doesn't take it hard. She's like, she actually takes it kind of as a badge of honor, and then she goes home.
Yeah, they're like, well, so-and-so wants to, was it the Colonel? Was it Colonel Carey? The one who is like, somebody wants to see the bear before they die.
Oh, it's the Lucy.
Lucy.
They take the bear to go and just live at Lucy's place.
And so she's like, well, bye. And then, like, just goes on her merry way. And that's the end of the book.
But, I mean, it's sort of like, okay, we've all read a bunch of books, right? They're about a woman who has to, like, go to ground, right?
Yeah.
Like a woman who's got which is interesting because this is a summer book. I would say normally a woman, like a woman hibernating book is about hibernating.
And it does,
winter.
and it goes into a little bit like the bear starting to like fatten up and stuff for her. Mm-hmm. It's hibernation that it probably doesn't get to do because it's a fucking bear in a fucking cabin.
Yeah.
So let's do questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Or else we can just talk about this shit forever.
Yeah. Well,
How do we even do questions?
How do we do questions? Well, we'll just do the best we can. I should say before we start all this, like, I don't know what I expected out of this book. I found it very beautiful. Like,
this is a piece of literature. Mm-hmm. And, it's not to say like the things that we read usually are any less or anything else like that.
Flaming the Flower is a piece of shit. Okay.
All right. But I'm saying like this book.
It's about some shit.
It's worth some study. It is elevated. It is artistic. It's also a fucking huge piece of shit.
Yes.
Because it's about a woman essentially just
raping a bear,
animal cruelty. So let's try to do a thing with that.
Let's try it. So, big dick energy or big dick energy?
The biggest dick energy in this is probably Lou because she's
like, yeah, I guess what, I'm gonna fuck a bear.
Yeah.
I'm done with men.
I would absolutely talk shit about her. I'd be like, hey, do you know that bearfucker Lou in manuscripts? Like, that bitch has been fucking bears. Like, that hoe has not only been fucking the director, but she's been fucking bears. Like, I got no tolerance for Blue and her bear.
Well, the rest of us went to a conference.
Yeah, I was like, she just spent a summer at like some Wahoo house and like was just banging a bear. Not even like, it's like, and that bitch couldn't even be bothered to go find a bear and tame it. She just got some sad bear on a leash and was like, you know what? Oh, you already have tamed. And
also, she was a shitty gardener. Her garden did nothing. Her garden did not produce, but her bounteous lady garden brought a bear to this house.
Oh, it's just so, yeah.
It's not about, I mean, it's honestly.
Obviously, yes.
Did anything actually, this is, let me temper
nothing
this.
happens but fucking a bear.
You can theoretically ask yourself, although not as much as in many books, did anything in this book, was it real? It's only honestly real in an emotional sense. It's not about fucking bears, all right?
Yeah. but we're doing our question.
Yeah, you decided to write the book about fucking bears, so we're gonna. I mean, don't be surprised when I'm like, "Here's your book about fucking bears."
Bechdel to bitch is hard because she has one conversation with another woman and it's about shitting to make a bear like you.
Yeah, well,
I think no, it doesn't pass Bechdel to bitch because it's about how do you get the bear to like you.
Yeah,
so no, it does not pass muster.
It's a very internal book, though.
I get it.
It's very much about her own like aloneness and her own just starting to stink.
When it comes to consent, this is a fucking. She rapes the bear.
She rapes the bear. An animal cannot possibly consent. Now, I mean, we argued about this, and I was like, okay, yeah, obviously. Let me explain. Bodice Tipplers is not pro bear fucking.
No,
but however, in the context of this book,
she rapes the bear.
I mean, an animal cannot consent. I just don't think it's a bad book for that reason.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying straight up, she rapes a bear.
In the context of what is happening, the bear chooses.
You know what? And here's the thing. I'm not going to apply human constructs such as sexual assault or rape to it. What she is doing is animal cruelty.
Oh, well, I mean,
she is abusing an animal.
Well, everybody's been abusing this animal.
Right, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, you cannot have sex with an animal.
I mean, but what I'm saying is that it's not more or less like she is an animal abuser.
But in the world of the book, the bear is making all of the choices.
The bear is doing what a bear has been taught to do, and anyone who fucks a bear that it doesn't have consciousness.
No, obviously it cannot consent. On the other hand, if a bear did not want to fuck you, I feel like the bear can make that very clear.
Right, but also this is not a wild ass bear. This bear has been so downtrodden, and probably the only whatever interaction, infection, enrichment that it gets is eating some skank ass manuscript / whoever.
I'm sorry, is cereals better?
I'm just saying that she is using the bear for her own whatever. She's abusing the bear.
You're making me be the pro bear fucking.
I know, but this is what I'm saying. This is a wild
the bear. Obviously,
this is a wild flip script because usually you're the one who's all hand holdy and shit. But she is abusing this bear.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yes. But
I'm not. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it takes away from the literary value.
No,
of it,
I'm saying that if a bear didn't want to fuck you, the bear could absolutely make it very clear the bear didn't want to fuck you.
Right, but that's also like saying a dog that's been beaten within an inch of its life that a dog doesn't just do a thing because nature.
You're painting me as pro bear fucking.
You're painting yourself, babe. I'm just saying it's animal abuse. It is animal abuse.
No, don't fuck a bear.
Right.
Don't keep a bear on a fucking chain.
She's Robin Thicke. She's fucking this bear. She don't care.
Those lines are blurred.
They're not even. She's just fucking. She's right. Anyway, that for me was upsetting. The bear on a chain. Everything.
I thought it was gonna be a wild bear. Okay. I'm not that would make it better. Yes, it would make it better, actually.
You know what the difference is between the way that a man writes a wilderness book and a woman writes it is that when a man gets killed by a bear, essentially the same thing is happening. The bear is penetrating a man. The bear has got his claws in him. He is doing that pushing down thing.
Y'all need to see the
Revenant is that is a man being fucked by nature.
Yeah.
In this, a woman is fucking nature. But also, I would be more, on board, like you're saying, if she found a random ass bear, tamed it, and then fucked it.
Yeah. You got to put the work in.
Yeah, half of the work is done. So,
yeah, somebody else already beat that bear down. I mean, it's essentially, just fucking your, I guess the dude your sister fucked?
I guess. I don't know. It's very, I felt like for me, I mean, anything like this, any kind of, for me, where I get, wound up about it, I guess, is this kind of animal cruelty. Obviously, they're animals, but it's akin to, anything dealing with, people who cannot give consent.
Oh, well, absolutely. I don't even really care that she fucked the bear. I care that the bear is so abject and
right. If she had found herself, if she had been fucking the bear guy, what was that guy's name?
Oh, you mean Timothy Treadwell?
Yeah, and just been hey, buddy, hey, and just that bear fucked her, more respect on your name. But like, no, she just found a half dead bear and was like, I'm gonna fuck you.
Yeah, I agree. I was really, really upset by the abject nature of the bear.
Yeah, like she just found a circus bear essentially and fucked it.
Yeah, one of those sad, like, yeah. No, that's not cool. I'm just saying.
We can't even really do the how badly are you judging him, because this is not a book that you read for that. That is not what this book is about.
It would be the kind of thing that I bet you any money in 1976, every Canadian mama.
Oh my God.
Like, did you?
You'd be like, I would be like, I got bamboozled. I got led astray because I thought this was going to be like hot, like man bear shit. I didn't know like it was just this bitch fucking a bear because she had a midlife crisis and couldn't go to Barbados or whatever and like drink and have a good time.
Get your groove back, not with a pet.
No,
not even a pet. If it had been a pet, that might have even been different too.
No,
because it wasn't love. Nobody loved this fucking bear.
I know. It was so,
oh my God, I was so upset about this bear. But Scarlett Johansson, yes, Scarlett Johansson will be in this movie.
Oh my God, absolutely.
I thought we were doing Will We Band This in Florida now. Never mind.
Absolutely. And there is like some questionable about how we deal with indigenous people. You know, again, like you've got Lucy, this indigenous woman who just shows up and like has broken English lines of like shit and bucket for bear. But really, like you said, this is a very internal book. Mm-hmm. So there's not a whole lot of anything other than
it is. I'm sure that a lot of people can talk, especially Canadian literature people can talk very much about. My understanding is that in Canada, there's a like, you're not supposed to laugh. You're supposed to go with it. It's like, I don't know that the name of the country is Canada. That like going north is like going back or going in or going, whatever.
It's the wild. It is
going into the wild.
It is essentially that untamed.
Like going west.
Yeah.
But it is tame. That's the wild thing to me, is that the wild thing is that the nature was already tame there. And I don't know. I'm curious about what John has to say when we do our literature review. We'll call it literature review.
Yeah. And again, if you want to do that, join our Patreon so you can hear people who act like someone who kind of gets it a little bit better than we do.
But we're more fun. I mean, John's great, but we're more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not leaving the house looking like that. There are no fucking outfits in this.
Because it's a fucking bear.
Yeah.
She's just like,
she admits how bad she smells by the end of this book.
Oh my gosh. She's just like wild now. Like,
yeah. She's been shitting everywhere. Just everywhere.
Like, anyway. Okay. Would your 12... Sadly, yes. I would have.
Yeah, I absolutely would have.
It's so salacious and it's so like.
When that bear finally goes downtown,
it's like very like how it would work logistically, and it is, like I said, it is very salacious.
Fire's going. It's very,
but it's very taboo, and it feels, it feels very like, ooh, you're reading.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, and there is a big part that we didn't really go into, and I think again, if you listen to our Patreon, whenever when she's going through all of Colonel Carey's documents, there's a lot of bear documentation because
like little slits of paper about
bear
folklore.
is God,
or folklore about bears. Like that old saw that the mama bears lick their cubs into shape.
Well, but it's also like Earth, like talking about the
bear sacrifices,
the scientific names for the bears, and also like bears as gods, and so there is
kind of like this whole circumpolar bear cult idea.
So this very there's a lot of metaphor happening.
But then you have this actual bear, which is so abject.
It's the saddest bear. And I guess it's also you could compare it to woman as God.
Yeah.
And
when you made an actual woman, she just
being this sad.
Getting fucked on her own desk.
But she's also, she's sad and she is domesticated. But anyway, so I would have totally dog-aired it. So.
Oh, yeah.
What pairs nicely with, I don't even know if you call it a dumpster fire. I mean, it's a beautiful book. It is. We're going in on it right now because, again, it's a crazy book.
It's about fucking a bear. But it is very much about a woman discovering herself through nature. I mean, I'm going to say,
obviously, Canadian whiskey, or if you want to be a little bit more redneck, because she does fuck a bear, is Labatt's. Just Labatt's Blue.
Well, she does whiskey with Homer, and she does fuck Homer, by the way.
Yeah.
She fucks Homer consensually after that whole business, even knowing about his wife. She's like, all right, let's fucking do this. And she's
just like, well, I got to get a human dick now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this is about.
Yeah. Let's
not one that's ugh. So should a person in the 21st century read this book?
I would say Yes, I found it to be a really interesting book, honestly.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's a very it's a literary novel.
I think it says a lot about what feminists in 1976 were talking about when they were talking about literally man versus bear.
I mean, essentially because this book comes out in the same, on the backs. And if you think about, The Flame and the Flower.
Contemporary.
But so what happens with The Flame and the Flower is essentially it's a woman in that book taming a wild beast, which is a man.
Yeah.
And the way that the men are written in those books, dark, made pale, made trembling, made tame. Marian Engel is just taking that fucking metaphor out and just having you straight up fuck an animal.
Yeah.
And so I do think it's I think it's an important book. I think it's a really beautifully written book. I think there's a lot to it that's really and again, we will delve into later. So I do think it's worth revisiting and reading. And I think it's interesting that this book has been one that has been it's hard to find.
Copies of this will run you $300.
Yeah. And I think especially in the wake of I think it would be really good, and it's a great dissertation for someone to take this book and then look at books with anamorphic love stories.
Yeah. We're bears.
If you've read any of the Minotaur milking or whatever.
I did read Morning Glory Milking Farm.
That's a very sweet book.
Very sweet.
So, but if you read those or Electrified by the Eel, all of those things, this is probably one of the seminal works and I don't know. But one of the
they need to come up with another word.
But
for
one
that.
of the works that probably is that lays the foundation for that. So I do think that it is a book that is worth revisiting.
No, I do think it is. It's just that
she fucks a tame bear.
She fucks a tame bear.
If you ever on TikTok that sad circus bear that's 20 years old and finally is in a preserve, and that bear that it wakes up for hibernation and is whoa, that's what I was envisioning, this sad sack old bear that's just
I gotta lick some more of this.
Yes, so.
I thought I was done licking this.
So, if you, and all we are bodice tipplers and man versus bear. I guess what we have found out is that woman can be man.
Find us on social media and at bodicetipplers.com.
And we hope you have a very good day.
Bye, y'all. Bodice Tipplers is part of the Frolic Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts.